that you will be standing beside not just an artist, but also the Director General of the Center for Black African Arts and Civilization. You would call it a dream, but you know what it is? Dreams usually become reality. And right now I'm standing beside the artist who's blessed us with a lot of artworks, but among us, the second one, the second, is just beautiful. Among us first is one of her multi-visual arts given to the Yemisi Shyllon Museum of Arts, and I would like to say thank you. Aisha Augie.
Yes.
All right, so Aisha Augie stands here as the Director General of CBAAC, and I would like to say congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
But give us an insight, bit from an artist to now sitting over large curations of artists and artworks. Tell me all about it.
I think it's just, when the universe conspires and puts you in a job that you actually love. So I've always been an artist since when I was a child, and it's just been super exciting to be in the space where we can actually be a part of the policy and the decision making that happens to affect Nigerians, and especially young Nigerians. But as an artist, in this collection at the Shyllon Museum, it's about the North, and it's called Ariwa. And for me, I already had these pieces in connection to, obviously, me trying to find my own identity. So I'm of mixed race, mixed tribe, mixed religious background. So it always has me thinking about how we pick and choose what works for us, right? And who we are. And one day I noticed, I think it was at the Nikkei Art Gallery, we were talking about how it's a language on the fabrics. These things mean something. And then I went to the Kano dye pits, the Gofar Mata dye pits, and they were also telling me that these markers mean this or that. The old women were telling me the stories that they were making on the fabrics. And I thought, this is a language we've lost. And it took me back to school, where I was studying the theory of selective perception, where you decide, you subliminally decide what is important and what isn't, what memories you make and what you remember. And sometimes you have to be deliberate about these things. And then I was like, we have these fabrics, we have these techniques, we have these crafts, but do we understand them? Do we get the stories they're telling? Do we get our history? It's right there in front of us. And so selective perception and among us, because the ancestors are right there. These techniques, these stories, whether it's in our fabric, our fashion, our crafts, almost everything we utilize has some form of art or language on it. But we don't understand it, we don't see it, because the world has changed. So this was, for me, a way to say we need to actually listen. When we wear certain things, ask questions. The Hausa hat you wear, the woven one, has stories on them. The different fabrics, whether it's adire, tie-dye, the different techniques. Just yesterday we were at a Nikkei Art Gallery, and it was about fabrics across Africa and the stories they told. So selective perception and among us is that me expressing that yearning to know more, but also telling people to do the same. Learn about who you are, who you were, not what people told you, but what is actually there in the stories that our ancestors have written on us, around us, and everywhere we look around on our architecture, fashion, and all of that.
Going forward, so
Yes.
we look at Arewa stories, which over that time has been so minimized due to a lot of issues, banditry and all that, because that's more of the story that we're telling ourselves. So going forward, would there be more for storytelling through arts for the Arewa people and other tribes?
Okay, so as an artist who came from the North 20 years ago, you wouldn't even talk of having an exhibition like this. It would be very hard to even find the right kind of artists, right? And for those of us who decided, we realized our stories weren't being told, and we wanted to tell them as they are or as we see it, not necessarily how the world comes to see it. So we move and we see the younger generation, and they're picking up. To have a curator like Aisha putting together 46 artists, telling northern stories that in itself is already an inspiration. I already have people DMing, sending messages to say, I would love to be a part of this. How could I learn more? You know, so we can't aspire to what we don't know. So the more we see, the more younger people would want to go ahead and become the artist or the curator, or just in general, maybe part of the ecosystem of art in itself.
Thank you very much. You just listened to the Director General of the Center for Black African Arts and Civilization, Aisha Augie. And we look forward to more storytelling for Arewa people, and of course for Nigeria and Africa at large. And it's so beautiful. I keep mentioning Festac 77,
yes.
And I'm looking forward to having another Festac, but it won't be called a Festac, but maybe Nigeria 2020, 2045, or a Festac 2025 or 2026 in the near future. And we know, and forgive me if I'm going to be gender whatever, but it will be fun having a woman push it.
You know, and to be honest, that's my dream. I have a mission, hopefully, to have Festac at 50. We have 2.5 years to pull it off. And so that is my mission right now. It's one of my strongest focuses to see how we can pull the rest of Africa back to Nigeria, to remind the world that Nigeria united the whole of Black and African people in one space. And hopefully we'll get to do the same. So I am very optimistic.